Hello there. Hey, it's Matt Coffey. And I want to talk to you about two things today. These are absolutely wrecking local businesses, and nobody wants to have any conversation about this. So let's talk about these things. Number one, you're not using AI correctly. And number two, you're letting your customers just walk out the door because you're not even lifting a finger to get them back. Both of these are costing you real money. As a business, this isn't theatrics, it's real money. And we see this every day. In fact, I talk to clients every day. They're both fixable. So stick with me here, because I'm going to give you a framework that you can use immediately. No fluff, no hype. This is just a playbook. It's a playbook we use with many of our clients. Now, really the goal is AI is not the problem. The approach is. Let me start by saying everybody's talking about this, but nobody's doing it right. And I'll tell you, AI is not what you think it is. Here's what I hear every single week. Matt, I've tried ChatGPT and it's just garbage, and nobody even thinks it's real. I think AI is just a joke. It doesn't really work. And I always say the same thing. It's not that it doesn't work for you. So you're not talking to it properly and building it properly. Think of it this way. You walk into a house after a long day, right? And you say to your spouse, I'd like some dinner. You go take a shower, maybe come back 45 minutes later, and there's a bowl of cereal on the table. Is that dinner? Well, technically, yes. Is that what you wanted? Well, no. That's exactly what you're probably trying to figure out with AI. You're not giving it anything because it's not knowing what you're expecting, right? So you have to think about this in reverse order. So let me give you 9 things you need to put in every single AI strategy to get you the results you actually matter. I call this a prompt framework. Now, I've been doing this for a while. Once you learn it, you won't go back to eating cereal for dinner. And number 1, it's a role. Before you ask AI to do anything, tell it who it is. You're a 45-year-old business strategist. You have built and sold 10 companies. You understand marketing better than anyone else on the planet. Usually I put a couple of people that I know. And if that role is setting in the mindset, you're giving a perspective for it to operate from. Not from what's learned in the past, but what you're giving it. Now, without this, you're talking to a blank wall. And we implement a lot of AI strategies for our businesses that we work with. One of the things we do is start to get these AI agents to think like they're an employee. Number 2, task. Now, you may tell it what it needs to get done, but here's where most people mess up. They go in and say, rewrite this email, or fix this task, or this is bad, that's good. Now, what ends up happening is a good task should strike this. I need to write an email to my best customer. We have been discussing a project together. This is what they want. Here's what they have already. And this is what we've talked about. Here's what I want this conversation to go. And you're giving it the full picture, not a sentence, the full picture of one little sentence, but a whole prompting strategy. Most people don't really realize that we're actually starting to learn that the AI will self-strategize itself if you provide the right details. Now, number 3 is the audience. Who's this for? Am I writing content for a business channel, a person, a local business, another partner, a customer, a client? Do they want more revenue? Do they want to stop guessing and start knowing how things work? You have to actually tell AI exactly who you are trying to reach. And it changes everything about the output. Now, sometimes we implement this, for example, on a website. We have to actually think about the client's journey. And that's also a big part of it. So number 4 is, what does good look like? What is the thing that you're trying to get? What is the huge thing that almost nobody thinks about when they start to work with these agentic AI bots? Good should look like this. It should be persuasive. It should address objections, and it should call a call to action that drives them to, let's say, book a call or book a sales strategy, right? If you're painting the picture of success even before it begins and it starts writing, well, that's the whole goal. Number 5, constraints. Now, there's things you don't want it to do. In fact, I had a client today who said, most of the time this really works well. Again, we put on these AI agentic website bots, or sometimes they merge into other social platforms. But let's just keep it easy for the fact that this discussion really talks about what most people use this for. But the things that you don't want are also part of the strategy. We call it putting up guardrails, not to use specific jargon, not to take long with responses, not to sound robotic, not to put those little dashes everywhere in between written emails that we all see that come from the people who don't spend the time to even think about writing their own emails anymore. You know the ones I'm talking about. Everybody suddenly becomes a grammar expert when they use ChatGPT. You ever notice that? It becomes sort of obvious. And you don't want that to happen when you're using it. So avoid these things. Make sure the output gets cleaner. Make sure you round out these problems. Make it sound human. Number 6, your inputs. This is where it gets powerful, and I like this. If you take everything, upload everything. You upload everything you could possibly think of that's ever happened. YouTube videos, Facebook posts, website traffic, your competitors' websites, videos, PDFs, emails, proposals, customer, sales conversation, anything, right? Now, I've actually uploaded thousands and thousands of sales calls for one of our clients to make that bot be able to close, because it had actually these conversations from hundreds and hundreds of interactions. So these conversations actually made almost like an entire book for AI to actually imbibe. And the best training modules and the best things you can do is actual real conversations, as opposed to just trying to feed it everything that you find. If you could do that, if you could take a whole book and put that into AI, literally, like, let's just say, take a day and read through everything you've ever had and all your emails, everything, just load it up. You know how much stronger that input would be? And you could actually see the heavy lifting being done as you start to have conversations once it's imbibed all this information. Now, talked about inputs. What about outputs? What do you actually want back, right? Do you really want to have something specific back? And I think that's part of the challenge, is that most people don't actually say what they want to have back. Do you want it to give a 30-day game plan? Do you want it to give a checklist? Do you want it to give a strategy? If it's a website, do you want that customer to have some sort of, let's just say, little gift that they get, maybe a PDF or something specific you want delivered? So it's also thinking about the outputs. When I spent time last week to think about one of our clients that we worked on, I said, you know what? What they really want, besides getting an appointment, right? They really want this customer to be wowed. So we actually built and launched a plan to give the customer sort of what we call Easter eggs, things that they wouldn't expect, and walkthroughs for some of the things that they might talk about, but wouldn't expect to have a response that would give them so much value. And that meant connecting to other pieces and resources, like videos, step-by-step roadmaps, and details that really someone normally, especially a text thread, wouldn't do. It actually was something that was important. This level of output you rarely get from a human being, but if you give it to an AI, it will do what you tell it to do. Now, number 8 is assumptions. This is the real thing that nobody does, and it changes everything. If you say to AI, list out every assumption you are making so I can correct the ones that are wrong, it will come back with a list. Most of them will be right, but 2 or 3 of them will be off. And this is the training that we're doing today. After we install AI bots and we go back to our customers, we say, let's go through your assumptions. And when you correct these, this entire output shifts into something that actually fits all these narratives for these business responses. Don't skip this step. It's where the magic happens. It's actually the functioning brain of AI to make those assumptions and for you to correct them. because it will give you the answers that you expected most of the time. But there's that 2 or 3 that you go, well, that's not the correct assumption. Now, number 9, and the last one is verification. You read it, you check it, you make the corrections. AI is not perfect. There are so many things that we've seen that are like way, way out of touch because it just doesn't know. It will hallucinate. There's no question about that. Your job is that last 5 to 10%, that human touch, that gut check that says, yeah, this is right. Yep, this is the answer. So let me recap those 9 for you, just so that you know. Role, task, audience, what looks good, constraints, inputs, outputs, assumptions, and verification. That is the framework. Print it out, tape it on your forehead, put it next to your computer, use it every single time. Here's the thing. Maybe, just maybe, you're one of those few people, just the 1 to 2% of people who are using AI right, who are using it to close business, who are using it to do the things that it needs to do in order to solve problems. Not just chatting, not just having conversations. That means today you're way ahead of the 99% of the people who are just maybe just saying, hey, go do this, and expecting AI to know everything. It's almost like a real person. It is an entire strategy, an entire thought process, a building strategy. I've built a company now that's using these frameworks to solve big problems, that people are closing thousands of dollars on a daily basis with their clients by using these tools. It's not hard. It just takes time. It's not hype. It's what happens every day. So stop being afraid of it. Start using it with the right structure and watch what happens. Now, one last thing. Letting customers walk away. Let me shift gears here because this is an important thing that connects directly. Every single day, people walk into your business, they call your phone, they visit your website, and they disappear. This is my big thing. Most business owners just shrug and say, well, they weren't going to buy. They just weren't interested anyways. And that's the most expensive sentence in English. When they come to you, they've raised their hand for a reason. They said they're actually interested. And then something happened. Maybe they got distracted. The dog jumped over the fence, the doorbell rang, they needed more thought process, somebody interrupted their thought patterns. Maybe your competitor followed up with them while you were trying to pitch them through your website, and you didn't. For whatever reason, it's just money walking out the door. So here's how you get it back. This isn't hard, but understand the real pain point here is why did they come to you in the first place? If somebody calls like a plumbing company, house is cold, that's a pain point. They need heat, right? Simple. Now, the pain point isn't just temperature. It might be price, it might be trust. It might be that they called like 3 or 4 other companies before they even talked to you, and nobody explained the difference. You need to figure out where the real pain is, because that's how you close business. Now, this is the thing. You've got to follow up like your business depends on it, because it does. I went through this recently with getting quotes for something that was just super benign. And I thought it was like, oh, we'll just get an answer and move on. I had to paint my house. I had to paint my house. Why? Because my daughter was graduating college. Graduating from high school to go to college. 5 companies actually came out. 3 of them sent me an email with a price. Never heard from the other 2 again. 1 company out of the 5 called back. Came out a second time to measure something off. We talked through a few questions, and he actually connected me with their, team that would be doing the painting. Now you can guess who won the job, and it wasn't the cheapest option. There were other ones who, actually were cheaper, and there were probably better options for me. But they were the only ones who made me feel comfortable because they actually cared. Follow up once, follow up again, follow up a 3rd time, follow up a 4th time, follow up the 17th time. Read the room, obviously. But don't send an email and assume that they're gone forever. That's just lazy, and it's inexpensive. And inexpensive is expensive. Because when you're inexpensive with your follow-up, the cost gets expensive to run a business. Third, get personal. This is making a massive comeback right now. I know it for myself. Handwritten notes, quick phone call, just to check in. In fact, I'm telling my team, just make effort. By accident. Shock and awe them. Pick up the phone and say hello. Something simple. Even just driving by if you have a local business that you may be working with and saying hello, how are you doing? How are things going? No tactics, nothing to sell, but just engagement. When is the last time anybody sent you a handwritten letter for anything? I don't think that anybody's ever done that, right? These are like amazing tactics that work. They always do. This is why things work, because nobody else is doing it. It's pretty easy. In a world full of automated emails and generic AI-based follow-ups that have dashes in between the letters because we know it's all just crap that they've cranked out and not thought about, the personal touch stands out. Call your customers today. Call your clients. Not to sell them, just ask them how things are. How's it working out? Maybe you send a picture of something that you did with them. Simple things. Watch what happens. That relationship grows. Why? Because it's truth. The last thing I'm going to say here is you need to educate people before you get engaged with them. This is a philosophy I've run my entire business on. And it works very, very simple. If you confuse, you lose. So instead of trying to, let's say, get your customer into the next sale, teach your customer something, anything. Give them something where they can grab onto something. It makes sense. If you, let's say, refinish floors, and let's say put out a piece of content explaining how 3 coats of some epoxy sealer makes this floor shine better than 2 and last longer. Like, you're not trying to sell things. You're just trying to be a better person. If you're a plumber, you're trying to show somebody how to check seasonal maintenance, or how to clean out a sump pump before the beginning of a spring season, like something that happened to me just recently when I had to do it myself. Would have been nice if someone had actually told me. People buy from people they trust. It's period, end of story. And they like education because it shows the fact that you care and you're passionate about business. Because people would say, geez, I wish I could work with you guys. I wish I've had this so many times. You guys are too expensive. I wish I could take a class about what you do because I can't afford you. You know what? I put out education every day. We give real value. But when they're ready, when they actually say they're ready to do something, they already know who to call because they've seen a million things that I've put out there. Same with your business. It's that educational model to educate first, sell second. And when selling gets a lot more easier, it's because you've already done the hard work up front. Now, let's go back to the original thing. AI is not going to replace you, but a competitor who uses AI will outrun you. And I am not kidding, because we do this. We watch customers get closed by AI every single day, and those customers who walk away will stay gone because you haven't followed up on them. Those 2 things, you just have to build the systems that bring them back. Now, the 9 things I talked about with AI, certainly important. Certainly things that you need to think about when you start to implement, whether it's for yourself or it's for somebody you want to help. The other thing is to follow up on every lead like it's the last one you're ever going to get. Get personal, educate your market, and stop assuming that people who did not buy from you today are never going to buy again. Or maybe they're outpriced today, but then they run into maybe an inheritance. Or maybe they were just sort of shy. They come to you for a reason. Go find out what it was. That's it for today. If you want help building any of this stuff out, well, that's literally what we do every single day at Profit Engines. There's no question about it. We do lots of AI, marketing, automations, follow-up sequences that actually convert customers over time. We'll help set up all the strategy, and then we'll help you run it. Hit us up. Let's talk. We're here. Until next time, it's Matt Coffee.